Hello friends, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on our API and Microservices projects. This is part of the API and Microservices Certification, and what I want to do is I'm going to make one single Node app that has the responses for all of these, and I'm going to use it using Heroku, and we're going to clone a Git repository. So this is going to be a way that I think it's better for you in the long run to do it this way, because you can actually make this web app your portfolio app if you wanted to do that. And it also just gets you using the tools like Terminal and Atom. So we're going to be using Atom, Terminal, and a browser to complete this. And so that's what we're going to be doing. It's probably easier to burn through this quickly if you just do REPL.it, but this way I think makes it so that you're actually going to develop the skills that you need to be, a Node web application developer. So we're going to build a full stack JavaScript app that is functionally similar to this timestamp services. And so if we go over to here and we see their timestamp service, see, while that's loading, I'm just going to say, working on this project will involve you writing your code in REPL.it on our starter project. After completing this project, you can copy your public REPL.it URL to your homepage. Optionally, you may choose to write your project on another platform, but it must be publicly visible for testing. So that's what we're going to do. So we want to start this project on REPL using this link or clone this Git repository. Now, cloning Git repositories is a very common way to start web application development, so that's how we're going to do that. So I've opened this repository here, and you can see that we've got this one here. This is an old repository, so we're going to have to shift it up so that it works presently. So, but the first thing that we're going to do is, when we're cloning a GitHub repository, we want to first grab our code. We're going to get this URL here, and so and then I'm going to come over to the terminal, and I want to do git clone there. So if I list it out, if you go pwd, you'll see I'm on my desktop. I've got very little on my desktop, and so right now what I can say is git clone, and then I'm going to paste in the URL that I got from there, and you'll see now we've got this boiler project timestamp. And so if I go pwd or ls, you can see that the boiler project timestamp is there. And so, but right now what I'm going to do is change this, because we've cloned it. That gets us a good starting point, but I don't want to call this project, because we're making it for all of the projects, I want to just call this, I'm going to move it. I'm going to say, instead of boiler, put boilerplate and hit tab, and I'm going to make that, I'm going to rename it to useful programmer portfolio app. And now if I list the files in here, you'll see that we've just changed that, but we still have all the files in here from the boilerplate. So let's change directories into the useful programmer portfolio app, and if we list out, you'll see that we have a Node package running. And so that gets us cloned in, and we've started our portfolio. So yeah, what they're saying here is this is what your timestamp will be. And what does this mean? Well, this is our microservices thing. Well, if we go to this URL and we paste it in here, we're going to get a JSON object with a Unix and a UTC time zone string associated with it. Unix, this is like, I think it's the number of seconds since the beginning of computer time, since like 1970. And then this is a string with the UTC time in it. So I'm going to go back. So this is what we're looking for. Now, let's go back into our terminal. So if we go pwd, you can see where I'm in the portfolio app. And so what we can do now is we can go do npm install. And this is going to create a project, and now I'm just going to open it. I'm going to be using a text editor called Atom. So I go Atom and then dot, and that will open up the project with all the associated things. And so if we check out the package.json initially, we're going to see this is the project here. So I want to change this. We're going to say the useful programmer. I'm just changing the description. Backend FCC backend challenge web app. That'll be fine for now. And we're going to call this, instead of calling it there, we're going to call this whatever yours is. But make sure, you'll see that the way that this is formatted with dashes and it's all lowercase, we want to make sure we maintain that. So I'm going to say useful programmer portfolio app. Yeah. And then we're going to have to change some other stuff in here because this is an old version of Express and an old version of Node. So yeah, well, what we're going to use is Heroku. You can use Heroku to get free ones. Now, I've already signed into Heroku, so if you haven't signed in, you're going to have to do that. You might want to pause it now while you do that. And so I want to say Heroku start a new Node app. And they're going to have instructions on how to deploy a Node app. Now, if yours is a little different than this, maybe you're doing this a year from now from when I'm doing it, this will walk you through the process. But if you haven't created a Heroku app yet, you'll want to download the installer. You can use Homebrew if you've done that before, or you can just click this and it's just like installing any regular application on your thing. And so here they have their getting started project. And so their getting started project is another GitHub repository. And so I'm going to want to check this out now. So now their Node.js getting started, it's basically, they've got the exact same instructions, but we want to start this one because we're doing the free code camp. We want to have that built in. And so I think that that's a better thing to do. This one, I think it has public views, partials, pages. Oh, it's got some cool stuff we could probably use. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to check the package.json. Now, package.json is going to have the information. We want to make sure ours matches this one. And so I'm looking at it, the name, well, the name can be different, the version can be different, description can be different. So the next thing they have is engines. So their engines is Node 12.x. So we want to change that. We want to have 12.x in here because we want to be running the stereotypical type that they're going. And so their engines is right after description, so we can just move our engines up to here. Okay, because the order doesn't matter, it's just an object. So engines, description, engines, and then main. We've got server.js, they've got index.js. I don't think that matters. And then our scripts. They have some scripts here, start and test. We should copy these into ours. Main. Yeah, scripts. And you can see that this bracket is associated with this one, so we're maintaining that. Oh, look, no, we had it here. So you know what? I'm going to get rid of that. So our main, scripts, dependencies. We have Express. They've got up 14 and then EJS. So let's get rid of Express cores. We'll keep cores on there for now, but we'll get rid of their Express, upgrade the Express from 14.12.4 to 4.15.2, and then we'll also add the EJS dependency in here. And now we want to make sure we put a comma here. These are all objects, so you want to have a comma separated list. This is a JSON file, so it's really important to maintain excellent spacing in your package.json. You don't want this thing to get messy. Dev dependencies. Okay, so we went from dependencies, then there's dev dependencies, and they've got tape here. We might as well adjust this guy and add the dev dependencies in here, even though I'm not exactly sure what they do. And then we've got our repository is Git. Here we've got github.com, camper.repo. Instead of here, we might just go maybe change the URL for this to, I'm going to make it so it matches mine. So this is my username, Robinson, and then I'm going to change this to useful programmer portfolio app. And this is what I want this to be once I save it to GitHub. And they've got keywords in here, Node, Heroku, Express, Node, we'll add a Heroku in here. And then we've got Express, Hyperdev, Free Code Camp. We can leave that in here, and the MIT license. Okay, so now our package.json has been updated. We've got the Free Code Camp app, but we have the Heroku dependencies in there. And so I'm hoping we can come over here and go npm install, and that will update our version of Node, and it will give us these other things. So it looks like, thank you, installing EJS. Built on Jake, added 70 packages, 72 contributors. We have 23 packages. They're looking for funding. This is a way to fund the people who work on the software behind the scenes so that we just can make apps this easily. And it seems to have worked. Okay, cool. So we've updated it to the Heroku specifications, and so now we can clone and npm install, npm start. We can skip this one, but we just did npm install, so now we can go npm start. And now we'll see your app is listening on port 59110. So if I open up this guy, I can go localhost, and then instead of 3000, I want to put 59. So localhost : 59110. And now if I enter this, cool. Now we have we're running our local Node app in this window, and we're viewing it on our local host here. And then once we push this code to Heroku, we'll be able to see it live on the internet. But right now we're running it locally, which is good. And so if we were to enter this guy, you'll see we're getting a cannot get. So this is what we want to do. Our project is going to be about making this return a JSON object. And so yeah, I'm going to cancel the port for now. I'm going to press Command T to start a new window. And this window is going to be in the same window in the same location. This tab, by pressing Command 2 and Command 1, I can switch in between these. And if I press Command 2, I'm on the where I'm going to run the server, and Command 1 is going to be where I do terminal things to alter the app. And so if I press Command 2, I can run npm node package manager start, and that'll get the server running again. And as long as I get the port up here, we can see that we've got our local version of the application running. Okay, so I'm going to click back over to here, and I'm going to go get status, and you can see I've updated the package lock.json and the package.json. Well, now I want to get this. What I'm going to do is push this application to Heroku. And their instructions actually probably have it right here. Now, if you don't have the Heroku command line tools, you should have gotten that earlier. The way to get that is this is actually it. Getting started with Heroku on Node, that'll get you the Heroku command line tools. So I can come over here and say Heroku create. And this is going to create an app, and it's going to give me a public URL. Now, this is the public URL that we'll be submitting to Free Code Camp in time. To the Free Code Camp thing. So our solution is going to look like this, but we haven't added any code to make it so it works. But I'm just going to save that there for now. And so I'm going to come back over the instructions. So we've done Heroku create, and now what we need to do is they say git push Heroku master, but we want to check first. We have to say git status. We see that we have some changes that we want to add. So I'm going to say git add, and I'm going to put a period here. And then this is going to add the package.json and the package lock.json. And now if I go get status, you'll see that because I've added them, they're green in my terminal. And so now what we want to do is commit. So git commit, and in the message, I'm just going to write update package.json to function as function for Heroku. So this is a message. I've committed this message, and now I want to push this message. So git push Heroku master. Source does not match any. Failed to push some rest to git Heroku. So I just git push Heroku. Git status. Git push. Permission to Free Code Camp. Okay, so I've made a mistake here somewhere. Let's look at here. Let's see the git logs. Okay, so what we need to do is set our remote. And so what I want to do is come up here, and I'm going to create a new repository. Okay, and so the repository name is going to be Useful Programmer Portfolio App. And then in the description, it's going to say the folio app of useful programmer.org, and we'll make it public, and we're going to create the repository. And so now I want to push an existing repository from the command line. So I'm going to say git remote add, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to add the remote to this guy. Or remote origin already exists. Okay, how do I deal with that? Remote origin already exists. What? A remote repository? How does remote tool work? Okay, so git remove origin. Let's try that one. Okay, and then I'm going to say git remove add origin. Okay, now that we've added it, so I've removed the old one, and now I'm just going to push this guy to the master. Git status. Failed to push refs. Git push origin master. Git remote add. I already did this guy. Push an existing repository via the command line. Git push. Okay, failed to push refs. Full syntax. Okay, git. Let's see if we can rebase our origin master. Couldn't find remote ref master. Since the OP already reset and redone his commit. Let's try that guy. Let's see if we can force git push F master. That doesn't work either. Git branch M. Rename your branch and then push. Okay, so git branch and put the -m, the new name. Okay, that did not work. Let's say git fetch origin. Did that change anything? Git remote add origin. And then we can add this guy. Origin already exists. That's good. So let's see what our current repository is. We've got, this looks all right. So, added my project. Git status. On branch go mix. Git branch. Go mix. Git branch. Check out branch, and we'll call it master. Git branch. Git status. Git push. Okay. Set the upstream origin master. Man, I'm sorry this is so confusing, but somehow I'm having these weird Git problems. But now it looks like I can do this one. Set upstream origin master. So git remote add origin, and then we're going to do this guy. That one already exists. So git push you origin master. Okay, so now if we refresh the page here, we see that our API micro projects here. But instead of saying API projects here, so yeah, I'm sorry if that went too quickly. It looks like what happened was, which was a success, was to get remote add. No. Yeah, I committed it there, somewhere in here. Git branch -m, and then I said git Then I shifted to the master branch here, and then I pushed up that master to our new upstream master, and then we're good to say git push origin master. And so that's how we were able to get this guy running. And so maybe to start off, I'm just going to do with the readme, I'm going to say, you know, useful programmer, timestamp microservice projects for free code camp. And then, yeah, and then I'll say just in a description, instead of keeping all of this here, this we're going to save onto a separate page. It doesn't need to be in the README anymore. This is a portfolio application which displays the useful programmer's API and microservices work as part of the free code camp curriculum. Other pages will be added in the future as a portfolio project. Future to complete this app as a portfolio project. Okay, so now if I save this, I can come back over to our terminal, and I'm just going to go through this pushing to the master a little bit more because it's important. So if I go git status, you'll see the only thing there is readme. We've saved this readme file, and so now it's there. So I'm going to say git add, and I could do either dot or I could do readme to get that individual file. So now if I did git status, you'd see it's green. So I can say git commit upgrade readme. I say git push, and this will push our changes to the GitHub project. And if we refresh this page, you can see that we've updated our useful program microservice projects for free code camp. And this will need more work in the future, but this just shows you that you can adjust that using your Git repository here, which is great news. And then if you see over here, we've got our local app running here. And so if we say git push Heroku master, we'll see this is a different sort of thing. What this is doing is going to the Heroku servers, and it's kicking up our app. So we're actually deploying this application now. And so if this is a successful build, okay, cool. It looks like it was just a successful build. Cool. Then it gives us this. So this is our Heroku Sleepy Meadow 15892. If I come back over here, Sleepy Meadow 15892. Yeah. And if we visit our app on the public internet, we can see that it's here. And so we're pretty much good. We can come over here and actually say I've completed the challenge, even though we know it's not going to pass because we haven't changed any of the code on there. But now we've deployed an application, at least it tells us, oh, you failed the test, but we could tell that you failed. And this is actually a great way to start because now we're using Heroku and we're actually using a deployed application. With this one, you know, Sleepy Meadow is on my list of apps now. I need to refresh this page because I created it since I started. Sleepy Meadow. This is the application that we were working with now. And if you can see, we've got some data here. This is a free deploy. We can go over to settings. If we go to settings, we can do things like you know, add a domain. So you could actually make this, you know, your name, like usefulprogrammer.org/your custom domain. And that's a cool thing about that. So now we have a blank web application. And I mean, I think that we could even change the name here because we want it to be Useful Programmer Portfolio App. Renaming app via dashboard can break your Git remotes. Cool, let's do that for the purposes of this video. So I'm going to save it. We're going to call this, okay, we're just going to call it Useful Programmer Portfolio. Cool. You know what? You don't need to put app in the name. So I'm going to save the JSON package as well. And then we're going to come over here. Yeah, so here we're going to say git remote rm Heroku. And then we're going to say git remote add and the new name, which is Useful Programmer Portfolio. Cool. Cool. And git status. Okay, all we're seeing there is that our package.json has changed, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference. So we should say git add, git commit, update app name in package.json, and then we say git push Heroku master. Cool. It looks like it's working now. And so we should have a new deploy of this, and we'll be ready to go. Now, this is for setting up the application so that you're ready to rock. If we come back over to here, you know, I have a ton of apps on here. You're probably on your first one or something like that. But if you scroll down here, you can see Use for Programmer Portfolio. This is the web app that we did. We just deployed this. We have it running. You know, if we go to our settings and we scroll down, nice, our app can be found at this. So we've actually changed it. So we're going to copy this link address, and this is going to be, instead of Sleepy Meadow, we've got usefulprogrammerportfolio.heroku.com. So you could make this your username on GitHub or something like that, and that would be a cool way to kind of run your project. But yeah, so now this is our public web application, and then if we throw this guy in here, we'll get all our failed tests. But it's good to get failed tests because we know all we need to do is figure out how to actually write this application. So this, even though, yeah, this app I was discussing, let's see, let's go back to Free Code Camp. Here we're discussing the introduction to the microservices, and this is how we set it up. So this is where I think that we're good to go. I'm going to call this video Introduction to APIs and Microservice Projects. This is going to be the introduction video, because if somebody were to come on this with a URL shortener, I'd want them to be able to come to this video and just get to here. So what we've got now is, if we look on our desktop, we have our Useful Programmer Portfolio app here. And inside of here, we have all the files which make a Node app, and we have it deployed to Heroku. And so we have a public-facing custom domain that works for this. And so in our next project, we're going to be doing our timestamp microservice, where we will be going into our server.js and adjusting these files so that it fulfills the needs of the timestamp microservices. But then we'll also continuously develop on here, and we're going to get this guy, the request header parser, the URL shortener, the exercise tracker, and the file metadata microservices, all within the same like, you know, whatever your app name is, .herokuapp.com. And so in doing this, I think that you're going to learn a lot more about how to utilize Git and deploy web apps and run web apps locally in order to make yourself a little bit better. Now, one thing I'm noticing about this, right before we leave, I'm going to cancel this. You'll see if I run the Node server again, it's going to start on a different port, and that is annoying. Because instead of, when we're running it locally, meaning we're not pushing our changes to the internet, we're just running quick little local tests, we need to add the new port in here each time. If we go back and we refresh, this isn't going to work. So the port is being set dynamically. And so I want to change that before we close this video out. If we go to our server, you'll see that we're setting our port via the process.env.port. Now, this .env files we have gone over, but I don't really want to do that like this. So I'm going to cut this out. We're going to create a variable called port, and we're going to start the port up here. So we're going to say var port is equal to this guy, or 3000. So what does that mean? So if process.env.port, which I don't even think it will render right now, if that renders, then it'll be set to that. But if it doesn't, it's going to be set to 3000. So if I save this, I come back over here, stop our Control C to stop our port, our server from running locally, and I do npm start again, you're going to see that the port, it's always listening on port 3000. And so now, instead of having to come dynamically set it, we can always just come over here and do port 3000. And so now if we stop our server and then rerun our server, Control C to stop the server, and then press up and enter, because Node was the last one we ran, the up arrow key. And then we come back over here, we can refresh the page, and it still works. And so that's how we get started. Now we have a blank portfolio app that's set up on Node, and there's a bunch of basic stuff set into it so that we're ready to start configuring our web app. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next video where we start with our timestamp microservice. Thank you guys for watching.